Any particular reason?
No, not at all.
I mean, it's somewhat disrespectful. What's your name?
Eddie Velasquez.
Eddie Velasquez. What do you do, Eddie?
I'm a reporter at Bell Times.
So, no particular reason that you're seating?
No, at all.
So, could you stand next time for us?
Sure.
Thank you.
Start with our draft minutes from the last meeting.
Second. Third. Aye.
Okay, any discussion or changes to the minutes? Okay, all those in favor of the minutes?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Our first resolution, our only resolution, is the best packet we've had this year. This is nice. Resolution awarding professional services contract for social services. Why don't we go ahead and have a motion to discuss first? And then I will hand it over to Stacy.
Sure. So this is our workforce development contract with the Workforce Development Board. This is by federal statute that we have to have a different operator versus a different board. And as you know, this is Oswego has umbrellaed under that system, the Workforce Development Board Inc. There is a slight increase. You'll look at the budget from $88,365 to $92,344. However, if you did read the brief that I sent to you, it did speak to our WIOA funding, federal funding. We received an increase of 18.7%, which was $206,954. So we certainly can handle that. Some of that is for them to do some more intensive strategic.
But there's no, this is not gonna kick in until the end of the year, right?
July 1st, I think it was.
Oh, yeah, July 3rd.
Yeah.
Okay, so, but we don't need a budget bond because,
Because we had to get this approved and the WPB has to accept it and then we'll come back in for the budget.
any questions? Are there any major changes to the contract? Pretty much.
It's pretty much regulated by federal statute, so what their roles are, coming to meetings, what the makeup of the board has to be, all of that.
All right, any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. We've got the letter supporting state bills regarding parking for persons with disabilities. Is that offering?
Well, either of us, defer to legislative purposes.
Let me bring it up on the history of this. We had a person who went to a Walmart store, parked his van, he's disabled, he's in a chair, was slipped down, went into the store to shop, he come back, and someone had parked in the yellow striped area next to his van. They called the police showed up, both sheriff and trooper, because the store sits in Granby, and both of them informed the gentleman that they cannot ticket the car or tow the car because they do not have enforcement for that in the town. They had to get permission from the store to tow the car out of the way. And now when they hear they finally towed the car. In researching this, we found out that the city of Oswego and the city of Fulton does have a policy in their city that they can ticket for these type of violations. And in further research, we found out that the law is sitting in the codes of New York State. It's not in traffic law. So therefore, there's no empowerment or authority to take any action. So, with my other hat, or eyes, took the challenge on, did the research, presented it to Mr. Barkley. Mr. Barkley took several months with his staff researching, wrote the bill that would correct this. It will put it in traffic law in the right place. It will give law enforcement the right to ticket anywhere there is accessible parking for cars without tags, identification, or parking in loading, unloading zones that are set aside for people with disabilities. The bill was assigned a number. Senator Ritchie got on board, and it's now been assigned a Senate number. And what we would like to do is, I'm going to give it to Phil to explain the process of this resolution, but I would appreciate the committee considering the next step, because I think this is important, and I'm very, very proud. Phil Church has been involved in the process as we've been going along, but once again, like the synthetic drugs, it's the county of Oswego that's going to fix the problem in the state, because this is a statewide issue. Anyone with a disability should not be put in that kind of a situation. They can't get parking because someone's not identified to be able to park there, or they can't get out of their car or in their car because someone's identified to park there. Thank you.
In my role as a NISAC board member, I've been in touch with the NISAC about this, having them look, kind of get an idea of whether this was going to pass in this session or not. They think because it's a one-sided bill right now that it's not going to pass in this session, but so they need to get more bipartisan support for it, and it could likely go next session. When we put on the agenda a letter in support, that was to try to get something to the state ahead of end of session, which is the day after the legislature meeting, which is why I wanted to do a letter out of here. But with the information that this may not go anywhere in this session, we could still do a letter just in case it does, but also do a formal resolution that we share with the other counties, share with NISAC, and get it on NISAC's formal agenda for the fall for lobbying when in the next session to get this done. That would give it more time to get bipartisan support.
So, do you want to make a resolution to
I
do
make
so?
a motion that we do a letter of support and resolution to NISAC.
Any other question?
I just, it doesn't look like this is gonna go through this session. If the city of Fulton and the city of Oswego both have passed some local laws to give that, is that something that we as the county would look to do as well? That's the county.
We could do it. We could. I'd have to ask Rich. There's certain limitations on what a county can pass a local law on. So I'll check that with the county attorney. The limitation of that approach is, if we have state troopers who would be called to a town, they may not necessarily ever be informed that Oswego County has this, even though the counties around them may not. So that's a statewide fix to this.
Oh, sure, I don't think anyone's arguing that. Just in the meantime, if this is something that could lag, it'd be nice to have the ability to do the enforcement, and maybe get informed the state troopers of that.
And just as a side note, I had to correct our own, don't laugh. I came today for the health meeting, and there sat our man with the county seal in the yellow stripe in between the two accessible parking. So I went down and addressed it, and the first words were, well, and I cut him off and said, no, not now, not ever. In the discussion, it's illegally parked, and the worst part of this is it's got our name on the sides. So don't let it happen. Especially if we're doing this, we need to set our own examples.
Okay. Put in the resolution that it's okay to walk a little further.
Exercise.
Not be lazy. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank
Just,
you.
just for clarification, do you want the letter and the resolution for this month, or the letter to go now and the resolution for next month?
The letter should go now.
We should go now, and the resolution, and I say.
One of my things would probably be a good idea to send it to the chair of the committees of jurisdiction and get something extended as well.
Thanks.
Thanks for that work, Jim. Looks like we're kicking it over to reporting departments and starting this month with Youth Bureau.
Okay, so I invited Jim Fafaya to come in today. He was the camp house director from 1991 to 2011. 10. End of 10 going into 11.
A little bit of a luck.
All right, I worked with him during part of that time period. Jim was not only the camp house director, but later Parks and Rec coordinator, which that group is now. And he was very involved in Camp House. He now is the president of Friends of Camp House still. Jim has written a book that I'll pass around if you don't have it in front of you. Jim tells me it's not his favorite book he's written, but it is a book he's written on the history of Camp House. He's currently writing another book on Camp House right now. And this is our most recent up-to-date brochure that's going around about the camp this summer. But Jim wanted to talk a little bit about the 75th anniversary, which is coming up. You can have that when it's done if you want. Wait a second. The 75th anniversary, among some other things. So
Okay. Okay, to come up here and talk from here.
Yes, you can.
Thanks for having me here today. And so 1946 Camp Hollis was founded. But just let me briefly tell you, because Margaret Kessler's here and we have a deeper history. Dr. Leroy Hollis from Sandy Creek founded a health camp in 1928 at that same site. And one of the reasons I don't like that book that's going around, besides it's all just pictures and very little words, it doesn't really include that history of Dr. Hollis, who started the health camp, which really allowed for Camp Hollis to open in 1946. So we are celebrating the 75th anniversary of Camp Hollis in 2021, but the history almost goes back 100 years if you include the health camp. So the book that I'm writing is going to be much more inclusive and less pictures and more words. So why I'm here is when we had the 50th anniversary for the camp, which was in 1997, the county went out pretty big time for this event. We had a big party at camp, a 2-day event. First day for former staff, and the second day was open to the public, so we had a lot of campers, parents of campers who came to the event. And we put together a little brochure with some information. And to do that, Kathy Fenlon, who was Brian's predecessor, put together a committee that included people like myself, who was working at Camp Hollis at the time, and some former campers and staff, and then some legislators and human services committee members. So I'm here today to talk about a couple of things. One is, does the Friends of Camp Hollis have the county's blessing to do an anniversary party, because we'd be doing it on campgrounds, and we certainly want to know that we're able to do that. And then to talk a little bit about, is it possible for anybody either on this committee or if you know anybody that might be willing to put in a little time to help us plan this event. Let me talk a little bit about what being on a 75th anniversary committee might be like. What I'm envisioning, first of all, the anniversary is 2021, so we have about a year and a half lead time. Well, actually, more than 2 years lead time, because we're looking at summer of 2021 being when the party takes place, or the event takes place. That I was picturing quarterly meetings through the rest of this year and 2020. So once every 3 months to meet as a committee, with everybody on the committee having areas that they would be agreeing to research. Let me just talk about a few of those areas. One would be history research, which would be working with me. That's what I'm doing right now, is making sure that I have the facts straight and collecting stories, but sort of gathering the history of why it is an important anniversary to mention. And can I just briefly mention why it's an important anniversary and why Camp Hollis is so important? In 1946, Camp Hollis was the first youth program to receive funding from New York State for a new program which was called Youth Commission. Juvenile delinquency was pretty bad in the 1940s, and the state was trying to look for some way to combat that. And they were looking to fund programs that would help youth. And Camp Hollis, a long story that I won't get into, but the founder of Camp Hollis, Judge Eugene Sullivan out of Fulton, saw a lot of kids that had gone the wrong way. He decided that a camp for kids that had that special need would be important. So in 1946, Camp Hollis got that youth funding from New York State, the first youth program to receive such funding ever, and has continued. We've received funding from the state continuously since that year. So there'd be history research, there'd be outreach, those people that maybe could work on Facebook, social media, connecting with people that used to work there, go there. Margaret and I were talking about a newsletter that goes out around the world about the sanatorium that he founded, that Dr. Leroy Hollis founded.
Oswego County Sanitarium
Yes.
in Orma.
So that would be one of the avenues that we would work to reach people. But somebody that would be willing to do that kind of research, promotion of the anniversary and the event. So perhaps speaking about it, if you were on the committee, maybe speaking about it at events that could help promote it, publicize it, creating an entertainment, and then actually being at the event. We had some committee members, some legislators who spoke at the event about the historic values of those sorts of things. Let me see if there's anything else I want to mention here. So I, as Brian said, I'm a member of the Friends of Camp Hollis. We're the not-for-profit that supports the camp. Here's an interesting fact for you. When the camp was founded in 1946, it was a free camp for children, and it remained that way until 2003. Those of you that remember 2003, that was some really tough times for Oswego County and our budget, and the county made the decision to start charging fees for kids to go to camp rather than close the doors of the camp, and we're very thankful for that. Friends of Camp Hollis was founded to start raising money so that no child would ever be unable to attend camp because of fees. So that's our main goal, Friends, is we still support kids. So many kids pay to go to camp, but some still go for free, and that's through the Friends of Camp Hollis. So Friends of Camp Hollis will be a player in this anniversary celebration. Brian and I already talked about, Zach, his new Parks and Rec director, and maybe some Camp Hollis staff being a part of the committee, but it would be great to have some Oswego County representatives as well. So I'll end with that, and maybe there's questions or comments.
The only comment is that Eugene Sullivan is the one that picked Dr. Hollis's name.
That's right. To name it Camp Hollis.
He's the one that picked that name.
That's right. When Judge Sullivan opened the camp in 1946, Dr. Hollis had just passed away, and he thought what a fitting memory for that man. So that's how he became Camp Hollis. Thank you. Any other comments or questions?
Love to search around.
Wonderful. Thank you. I'll figure out. Okay, I'm sure I'm not going to be
Oh, anybody.
Would we need a resolution to approve them being able to do this event 2 years out?
Emotions and
just wanted to make sure, that we could
I
use the
make a
facility.
motion that we support the 75th anniversary celebration.
Okay. Yeah, and I guess my son's camp counselor at ecumenical camp for the last 3 summers down at Banner Camp. And it's interesting, you don't realize until you're anyway involved in something like that how much it can affect kids' lives. Really change them or give them a mentor that they might not have had. So I think it's important. Any other comments?
Considering the flooding issue right now, looking through these pictures, it's a good thing we don't have those original buildings. They're right on the edge of the bluff.
Yes, right. Maybe in the lake by then, yeah.
Yes, they would be done by now.
Okay, any other thoughts on the motion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Thanks, Jerry.
Thank you very much.
I was gonna say too, that if you look at this right here, this kind of goes back to the, similar to the very old logo. But for the 75th anniversary, we are going to go back to the logo they used 75 years ago. And Jim actually found a shirt out to Hollis that resembles what that is, because you didn't mention the other part you wanted to do about the museum.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I thought you were gonna find a 75-year-old shirt.
That's meant.
Well,
I know, it was from the 60s, so we're getting close. One more minute at a time. With 75 years of history, if you've been to camp lately, you've seen in the dining hall the pictures of the staff boards from over the years. You know, one of the most attractive sites there. People love to go and spend hours. And donations like T-shirts and others. Is, you know, we'd love to have a space. We're running out of space in that dining hall to collect our history and keep our history. We actually have the original cards that were used in 1946 to check the kids in. At that time, the kids were checked in and weighed. They were weighed at the beginning and the end, probably for the opposite reason that you would think for today. The idea was to get those kids to gain weight in the couple of weeks they were there. We have all those records, things like that. And so with hopefully some new things happening at camp, maybe some new building structure, we'd love to be able to use either part of an existing building or a space to have a museum there. And Friends of Camp House is willing to, you know, put the effort to make that happen, but we know we need permission on county campground, so.
What year did they stop swimming in the lake?
Doing the research on that is late 60s, early 70s. And do you want to know why, or are you clear why, or?
I just wondered if that could ever change.
Ooh, that would be a big, in my years, that lake is deemed an ocean by lifeguard standards because of the wave action. So we toyed around with having a dock that would be moved in and out of the water, and it's pretty restrictive. It would be nice, but there are a lot of health codes regarding safety in the water.
Mm-hmm. Is that something like the state parks have had to deal with in the past? Is there some sort of relationship with them that?
With the county and the state?
Yeah, just was curious about that. I mean, obviously people can swim in the lake. We do it all over the place, but
yeah,
it depends on the location. I was just curious about that.
Interesting section where Camp House is, you know, the wave action that comes in there. That's why we're getting a lot of that erosion too. Is it sort of hits it directly. So some of those storms out there are pretty severe. But it's state health codes, and you're right. There are state parks that let swim. We would have to be looked at.
Thank you, sir. Do you have these T-shirts already and to go? No, not yet, because I was going to say you could get a booth at the fair this year in August and next year too, if you needed to promote your anniversary coming up. If you have something to sell, there's a lot of people like to walk around with, or do you want just the kids that have gone to Camp House have T-shirts, or whatever, or even a hat or something?
Yeah.
It would give you some money to work with, I think. Is it too early to order these things already, or?
Well, that would be up to your staff, because they're gonna be creating this, something campers will get as their shirt, but for that year, selling them would certainly be an option, but I'm not
Or
sure.
whatever you could sell, because we got space at the fairgrounds, and people have heard about it, but everybody loves to have a T-shirt of something or other, and if you got a T-shirt 75 years, 2021 or whatever on it, that would give you some promotion, people walking around with them.
Very good, thank you.
And that would be August. Is that too soon to get everything together?
It's not, I mean, if we plan it, I mean, we get shirts printed out, I guess it's a matter of
Or whatever else?
deciding what's the best way to go.
Deciding what we're gonna do might be better to wait till next year, just so that we have accurate information to give people at this booth. I'm not sure if we know enough this year to do
Too
that.
soon for this year.
In terms of dates and how they could register for the event and stuff, but just being there to promote Camp House in general is something we could talk about, right?
Because that would give you PR out there
Absolutely,
all over the place.
thank you.
So you on our staff, we have Lois, who's our kitchen, she's been there 38 years, she's been working at Camp House, she's still there. She's got a lot of history right there. And Zach Rulick, our current director, was a camp, and he actually worked at the gym.
Worked his way up the ranks. So anything about the museum that we would need to get okay from you, or?
I think you would need to gather a little bit more information about what you're after,
What we want to do.
how much space you want,
Okay.
and so on.
Okay. All right,
Yeah, thank you.
thank you again very
So
much.
Brian, are we gonna lose the new fence that we just put up?
Not a chance, Jim. We moved that thing back far enough. We're good.
Okay, Brian, you got the,
Yeah, I'll go quickly. Couple things I just wanted to talk about. I'm gonna pass, if you didn't see it, these were this couple, you can take if you want. Our Youth Career Summit was a couple weeks ago out to the city. Roy did the welcome. At the end, we had about 600 kids show up for the event. Once the ball got rolling, once we got through their technical issues, it seemed to be a pretty smooth day. We got a lot of positive feedback off of the career opportunities that we were able to provide for about 600 eighth graders. We had 8 of 9 school districts there. So it went well. I do have for you, I was going to pass around our AmeriCorps summer program. This is the list of summer positions. Attached to that too is a business card for Chris Metz, who's our AmeriCorps coordinator. Many jobs that are available that are on that list, a lot of them are throughout the whole county. So if you know of anybody in your district that may be looking for a job, they have to be at least 17 years old, but there's no cutoff date. So you could be 17 up to age whatever. So that's an opportunity for if anybody's asking about summer employment. That is opportunities. So we have camp house jobs are all full. We've had quite a few staff who, as I said, Lois has been there for 38 years. Our security director, I've seen pictures of him from the early 2000s. He's returned. We have quite a few great staff this year on holding that Zach was able to bring on. I'm also just going to give you just what's there. This is an example of one of the things we did. Last week we did our City of Oswego Youth Government Day that we partnered with the Elks. That's just the brochure that was distributed to the city. Work with that. I was in Saratoga last week for the directors retreat, and OCFS was here yesterday visiting Camp Hollis and such while they were here. Some interesting things are coming out for 2020 to be creative on different funding sources that OCFS is working with. So I'll be sharing those as we go forward later. The construction at Camp Zerby, I was on the phone with Casey today. There's just a couple documents that she needs to be able to finalize the work to get started soon. Once that work gets started, we anticipate it to move hopefully smoothly and quickly to get the septic and well done as we did. As we promote summer reading, our Little Tree libraries, we currently have 11 of those throughout the county. That's to take a book, leave a book. And those are strategically placed throughout the county, but if you want one in your area, if you let us know, we can get one built for you. You can find a group who might want to decorate it, and then we can help to get that rolling. Our Leadership So Kind of Youth class, as I mentioned, they graduated 15 students this past month. They're recruiting for the class of 2020. Youth Corps training is July 8th through July 12th. So we have applications in our office. Anybody going into grade 7 up through age actually 21 who wants to be a Youth Corps member can start hearing cases. Traveling Arts in the Parks, we have 8 shows booked throughout the county. My staff tells me we have room for about another 4 shows. So again, from your community, if you're looking at possibly wanting a Traveling Arts in the Parks show, we traditionally hold some spots so that we don't fill them all quickly. If not, we'll fill them in June to go out through August. Different activities. Our Oswego and Fulton Summer Park program will kick off right as school gets out, where we will, as many of you may recall, it was very young, East End Parks program where they would have staff in the park to just actively work with the kids while they're there. And that's a few things where it's organized, there's a few things rolling. That will be both in Fulton and Oswego this summer. Our USDA tennis program, I think we have about 15 sites signed up right now. We will have about 20 when it's all said and done. We'll provide free tennis throughout the summer. Why do we pick tennis? Because it's a sport people can learn. It's safe. There's no, you're just playing non-competitive activities throughout the summer. Our springboard murals for the city of Oswego, I think we have about 15 of those. The wall where you've seen those in the city of Oswego, we are going to probably run out of space after this year, so they will have to find a new location. The Movies in the Park starts right up here behind you. June 26th is the first movie. It is Into the Spider-Verse. And Bubble Mania will also be there, sponsored by the Youth Fair. Also, those will be movies. There'll be movies in Mexico, Fulton, and Oswego this summer. I'll put out in collaboration with the credit union and the Youth Fair. That's all I'll take for now. Unless you got questions.
Questions? Thank you. Okay, moving over to Department of Social Services. Stacy?
Nicole is up first.
Okay.
Just, Stacy had asked that I want to provide an update on where we're at with the school-based mental health clinic implementation project. So as you probably remember, the legislature, we received two proposals. The legislature approved more to both of those at a funding level of $30,000 per new school-based clinic site that would be opened. That was offered to both providers. We had one respondent who accepted that, so we're working currently with Liberty Resources. The superintendents have prioritized 5 districts in the county, so Liberty Resources will be focusing on opening sites in those districts over at least the next 5 years. We'll be starting with 3 sites in this summer, starting to open 3 sites so that will be operational for the beginning of this coming school year. The 5 districts that were prioritized are APW, Mexico, Phoenix, and Sandy Creek. Last time. APW, Phoenix, Mexico, APW. The last 3. The 3 that they're starting in are Mexico High School, Phoenix Elementary, and APW's junior, senior high school building. So those will be the first 3 sites that will be for this September.
Oh, what were the 3 again? Mexico,
Mexico
APW?
High School, APW junior, senior high building, and Phoenix Northern Elementary.
Okay.
Specifically, those buildings were identified by the school districts. So currently, Liberty is working with those individual buildings to develop partnership agreements to submit to be included in the contract that would be issued and to be in effect for July 1 of this year. So with only one provider at this time, I do anticipate it may take longer to achieve the goal of a site in every building, satellite clinic site in every building in the county. So more than likely, I'm going to need to solicit for additional providers again in a couple of years. I'm hopeful too that at that point there will be a different place to be able to participate, including the Oswego Hospital, who will be a provider of the majority of our existing school-based satellite clinics. They have a lot on their plate with their new behavioral health center that they're working on right now, and some leadership transition in their behavioral services division. So hopefully a couple of years down the road, have some additional providers who will be able to participate to help us complete that goal.
If I could, a couple questions. So we had awarded it to Arise and Liberty. What happened with Arise?
Arise had expressed concerns around the financial viability, in their opinion, of the rural sites that they were allocated. They did not think that it would be financially something that they could sustain if they would take a loss in those rural areas.
And as a follow-up, my understanding is that previously we've been funding Oswego Health's locations. Those are predominantly in the higher poverty areas, or at least the more city located, correct? Where are they currently located? Which schools?
They're in Fulton District. They're in every, not necessarily through the prior county contract, but they are in, for all sites, they are in every building in Fulton City School Districts. They're in Fitzhugh Park Elementary in Oswego City, Central Square High School, and the middle school and the high school in Hamilton.
So, what was do you know the amount of that contract that we are not offering this year? Right? Let me ask you, say it again. They were under a contract that has not been on, because they did not bid on this current one, correct?
Correct.
So that means that they are no longer under contract? Is that?
That ends the end of this month.
Okay,
There's
so.
the existing contract that has been in place for about 7 years.
Tim, to clarify, this, go back a couple of years, and that money, when it was given to Health, was not to subsidize the mental health clinic sites in the schools. And unfortunately, I think there was some staffing issues and some other things. But the expectation now is that we give some money to launch, and then they have to be able to be self-sustaining.
Sure, and I understand that is the expectation, and that was our hope. But what we're seeing, the reality of that is the current provider wasn't interested in bidding. One of the awarded providers wasn't interested in the program. We have a number of these offices in our, what I at least, I would consider to be where they're most needed in our city or more, the city of Oswego, city of Fulton, Central Square. And I guess the question is, the ones that we're looking to sew into are not any of the ones we just talked about. So is the expectation then that if the money has been removed, if the contract is no longer there for the groups that we have out there in the cities of Oswego and Fulton, and we don't have a plan going forward for those schools?
Those sites are not closing.
So if we're not paying them, who's paying them?
It's my understanding that Fulton City School Districts is going to provide some support for sites in that building. I don't know the specific details, but I don't believe the other locations are providing any financial support. The contract funding that we had for Oswego Hospital for those sites was to provide additional funding for them to serve uninsured students, as well as provide services to within the school or to support school personnel around consultations and planning and classroom observations and training, things that are not part of a billable clinic service.
Sure. But do you happen to know what the total amount of that contract was to Oswego Health?
It's about $250,000-$60,000
A year. And so that's money that they're no longer getting from us, that's correct?
Correct.
And your expectation is that they're going to continue to offer that same service?
They're going to offer just clinic services, not any of the other ancillary services that they may be providing to the schools.
Okay, so
Unless the schools,
I guess my
choose to
concern
purchase
is
that
that
from them.
we have just these city schools, and we've been talking about the poverty in those areas, and this was a very important initiative, and yet there's no, at least I don't have confidence that if you remove $250,000 a year from the folks who are doing the work, that they're still going to keep doing it. I would love it if they do, but that's my concern.
So let's be, I think what we needed to do was draw our providers back to what does it mean to have a mental health clinic? And they ended up straying from that central activity and doing a lot of other things that aren't billable, or just unable to fill it with a therapist. Lewis County, where I was, for about a year prior to coming here, I ran a clinic. Our school-based sites, these were very Harrisville, very core regions. We're the only ones that ran in the black. You can make a go of this, just like a mental health clinic, but you need to be able to focus on clinic activities. And if there's other activities schools would like, there's cheaper dates than a licensed mental health counselor or an LCSW with their arm. Those are really high-end. That really needs to be diagnosis, treatment, medication, hooking to a physician or psychiatrist. These are for emotionally disturbed. So it's not a support or advocacy for young people. It's a mental health clinic. Did I state that okay?
But I guess that still doesn't change, and I understand you work with the superintendents, but my concern is that the schools that, if you were just to ask any legislator, what schools do you feel probably should be concentrated on, I would assume the majority of them would be city schools, the cities, right? I mean, that makes sense. And my concern is then we aren't. And we're having trouble getting folks to come in and do this. And I'm not saying it wasn't managed ideally, but my concern is we're setting it up for a bit of a failure here by pulling the money out of the cities and sending them to these other 3 school districts, which again, not saying that they don't need it just as much, I'm sure they do, But my worry is we're gonna be creating a vacuum here where there's none of these services, and that's
Well,
what
we're
I'm
only
concerned
doing
about.
it as a launch.
Sure,
Yeah, they're gonna have to.
but we're gonna be at
self-sustain.
least a year out from even being able to come back to the city school districts, because we're focusing on these other districts.
How,
And in fact, you didn't mention any of those Fulton or Oswego when you had mentioned the
Because
focuses.
they're already fully covered by Oswego Hospital.
Right, under the previous funding, and that's my point, is we're pulling $250,000 a year from funding to them. I hope you're right, and I hope they stay doing it, but if they don't, do we have a backup plan? If
The
not,
backup plan is to reprioritize.
but that would be at least another year from now, correct?
No, not necessarily. Those
Okay.
are already existing sites and existing caseloads.
Right.
It would be more a matter of, if the Oswego Hospital can't retain those sites and keep them operating, it would be a transition of the license, which have to work for the state office of OMH.
And that's something we could do internally, reactionarily, not a
If
good word.
if the hospital says that we can't do them anymore, we can't make it work,
Sure.
then it's working with the hospital to identify another provider who would want to take over that license
Sure.
and operate those.
And I would expect potentially, considering that the reason that Arise was not interested was because it was more rural, potentially there could be an opportunity there.
Mhm.
I mean, that makes a lot of sense, I just want to make sure. Again,
we'll,
we just
we'll
got done
check
saying
in.
that the previous program was not profitable, and now we're removing $250,000 from it a year.
It-
That's not gonna make it more
It
profitable.
was not, it can be.
Sure.
I am absolutely convinced that it can be. And I'm also convinced that now that behavioral health is restructured a bit, they've done away with a contract that was overseeing all of this. And it was pretty much a nightmare for Nicole and I.
Sure. Okay.
We don't need to get into it.
No, and I
But we have
appreciate, I
not-
absolutely appreciate the work that you've done on it.
Yes.
And I see this as completely necessary, which is why I'm concerned, if you were to have a restaurant and it wasn't running well, and then someone said, who's backing you at $250,000, pull that out. My hope is you find a way to do it right, but I don't know that, and I want to make sure we have a plan of attack for those cities.
Yeah, and I am meeting with the hospital, leadership for behavioral services regularly, but also
Sure.
again tomorrow. So we'd be checking in on them on the status of the operations, because they have been, working on this. They've had heads up lead time on this. So they've been working on transitioning their operations to being self-sufficient.
Okay.
So we'll be checking in on that tomorrow. But certainly, it's a priority for me to be able to maintain continuity to those students that are clinically served.
Sure. All right, thank you.
Aren't some other schools covered by, what's it, Noxie, what's their new name?
Connects Care,
Next care.
they have some school-based health clinics that has, they have some mental health counseling component in that.
Oh, and so
They're not the same, not the same service.
and they're funded by the schools.
I
No,
think that's under the federally qualified health center, they're just,
They bill insurance, they bill Medicaid.
just like these
Okay.
clinics will. The school provides them with the physical space.
Okay.
But because Connects Care has, if they lose a lot of money, the feds come in and bail them out. It's federally qualified.
So they
Like
wouldn't have been involved in bidding on any of these.
They would not have been an eligible applicant for this, they're not licensed OMH, clinic.
Well, so that reactionarily, is that?
That was good, right? You got that, put that in the minutes. Reactionarily.
That
Doesn't have a red underline, no matter what it does.
That's definitely that spelling bee word that you want.
Exactly. No,
That's why they're
correct.
non-
Sorry.
They're not talking prosciutto.
I'm a word guy.
I do want to assure the committee though, that Nicole and I, we are so committed to making sure that there's a mental health clinic in every school. We're gonna work with the schools, we're gonna work with our providers, and the schools that are not covered right now, we've encouraged providers to go directly to the school because the big superintendent's group identified and superintendent stepped up. That doesn't mean, that the schools uncovered right now have to sit and wait for this money launch. It has helped with the districts as far as creating space that has somewhat of a therapeutic tone to it, to buy the equipment they need for startup until they can get billing and really get a set number. But the nice thing about a school-based clinic, you've got a captive audience. And if a kid's out that you're supposed to see today, you don't have to sit there for an hour and wait for the next kid. You go find another kid on your caseload. You see him in that hour, you scramble, and you see the kid the next day. You can't just sit back and say, oh, great, now we're great.
You have to make, they are definitely, they're in many other counties, in many other schools, and they're not receiving ongoing deficit funding, which is how we have been doing it for the several previous years. So they can definitely work. Financially, they can work. A provider needs to be able to, and it comes down to the productivity of the staff, and finding the right staff to be in those buildings that are going to engage well with the schools, because they're out there on their own, and they're not surrounded in a full clinic. So it's not every clinician that I think would be successful in one of those things.
Okay, any other questions? Any other new vocabulary words? Go on.
Appreciate your hard work.
Thanks.
So, I did send you a report and gave you another quick update on Family First Preventive Services Act. This is gonna be a really, really heavy lift, guys, and we are certainly, it's risky what's going on as far as what the financial liability in the end of it all is going to be to the county. We're doing the best we can to kind of take everything in. The feds have not still given us clarity, so the state can't give us clarity. However, they did give us $47,508 for a Family First Transition Fund, and then told us what contractor to use, which we will. This is really about providing some supports to KINGAP and family and for foster care. It is, we're getting hammered left and right by the state right now in all kinds of administrative directives. So these things are moving along at a very quick pace. I just learned today, and Veronica worked hard on the chart for me about how they're going to look to, instead of billing us, for the state residential, kids in state custody, we remember that one's 2 years behind. That's why we roll funds over, because we anticipate a bill from the state, and we've got it sitting there. And now they're talking about not sending us a bill, but rather just taking the money out of the revenue they owe us whenever they need to, right? I mean, basically, how do you keep track of that? What is the devil is always in the details. This has the potential for us to lose. I don't know if you want to speak. I know
The
you
biggest
spent.
concern that I have is that in recent years, there's been a statewide $55 million cap on these expenses for these state schools. If they go this route, they're not telling us right now whether they're going to remove that cap or not. If they remove that cap, I can tell you that last year alone, that cap went from it being $999 a day for those kids that we housed to half that price. So we ended up with a 50% reduction because the cap was in place. Which means that right now with the 2 years that we have outstanding without a cap in place, right now Oswego County below $700,000.
So, we'll keep you informed as we know, that some of this is, oh, by the way. So, again, we'll do our best with it.
You
You
Real quick
can,
question for the administrator on that, because is that something we're seeing, Oswego specific, is that something you brought to NISAC, is it something you've been hearing any guidance on, I mean,
If they
anytime?
move the camp, it's gonna hit every county.
Absolutely.
Have you heard anything from NISAC on?
No, but I'm at NISAC for the next 3 days, so I'll sit down and find out.
do you want me to send you that material? Via email?
Yeah, send them the chart too.
Yeah, that's what I will. And you can see the foster care placements just keep going up. You know, we, at the end of April 2019, we had 172 children placed. And this was the first month that we really had stable placement rates between March and April. But April expenses for foster care for the month was almost $740,000. So it is really increasing.
By how much, Stacy, like, is it 10%, 20%?
Normally, we've seen around 400,000.
And how successful was the foster family recruitment? I mean, we've done that a couple of different times.
Yeah, but pretty good. What do I recall? 10 families, I think, from that training.
That have ended up entering into it?
Mhm.
Entering into the program? Good.
Not all of them attended the open house, some of that recruitment was taking place. And of course, other private agencies are recruiting all the time for Oswego County as well. So, did want to let you know, we are attempting to get caught up on RFPs. You know, we weren't exactly in keeping with county policy. So we are trying hard to kind of get everything pulled together now. The school-based preventive services is caseworkers purchase preventive services for youth, and that will be going out very soon. We've already submitted that to Onondaga County Purchasing to handle. Forensic psychologist consulting services to form a qualified providers and suppliers list. We're in that process. Self-sufficiency case management services for TANF and Safety Net. We're moving along on that one. I also wanted to let you know that we did terminate a contract with Catholic Charities called Relatives Raising Relatives. When this was launched about 15 years ago, there weren't a lot of good programs in place that were supporting KINDAP or kinship care. There are now. Liberty Resources got a huge state grant, and their numbers are low here in Oswego County. So they're taking over in a much more robust way, I would say, for that. That was $171,045 annually, and so we will be providing an addendum to existing contracts with Catholic Charities because of our increase in foster care. So we'll be looking to have a few more parent educators and transportation. The parent educators is a court-ordered services, and we have a waiting list now. We've never really had to experience that before, but it's taking about 9 months to get a parent educator. We can't leave kids in foster care while their parents are waiting for support services. That just makes no sense. So this is how, it's all within the same vendor, but this is how we're kind of moving some money around. And there's no local share. This is all FFS. I also wanted to give you a heads up and request your support. I'd like to issue an RFP for transportation dispatch and transportation aids. We are moving ahead. I decided we should separate it out since I wrote this to you. So we are moving ahead with transport aids. The dispatch right now is very fragmented. Nicole pays for a dispatcher for mental health contracts. I do for the transporters of Catholic Charities, and we have a senior caseworker doing our case aid dispatching. So we're looking to centralize all of that under, pretty much will be under Catholic Charities umbrella there because they've got parking. You know, our transport aids coming in and out of our parking lot in Mexico gets tricky because we just don't have any parking there. So we'll really be looking at that as well as bringing another vendor into our midst through volunteer transportation. Any community I've worked in the past, we've had some kind of transportation network that's helped offset for transporters. Very successful up in the North Country. And they are actually, the North Country vendor will be doing a workshop at our July New York Public Welfare Association conference in Saratoga Springs this summer. They're providing everything they have, their software, their forms, their protocols. Do you see that spider? It's
Yeah,
driving
check
me
it out.
crazy.
Get that look at it.
I'm watching it.
Okay, make sure it doesn't come near me.
He was over here before. Crawl back.
Oh, there you go.
We got rid of the snake.
Oh, God.
Good time.
Sorry. It is distracting. So I'd like your support for me to put that RFP out. It doesn't mean we have to go down a contractor. I'd like to kind of see what kind of bids we get back on it. And if for any reason AEI, which is some possibility for an application to deal with some transportation issues, if we can fold it in there, we'd be set for an award and set with a vendor. So, but I won't spend any money I don't have without your permission, I promise. So, okay for me to move ahead with that RFP?
You
Okay.
wanted a motion.
Do we need a motion for that?
You don't have to, but you kind of feel it, just force it.
Let's take the motion.
So,
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
aye.
Any opposed?
Okay, and then, you saw the WIOA funding, Yahoo, that was pretty nice, a couple $100,000. And summer youth employment, we got some additional money there, $390,428. We'll put together some triple FS money with that, and we're in the process of recruiting and hiring about 200 youth this summer. So it's a real high impact program for our low income families. I also wanted to let you know about SDSJP. So I met with Dave Hall, and you know, SDSJP can be either put under the DSS umbrella or the probation umbrella, and DSS is not receiving a penny of this money. It's really, in fact, a little clumsier to have it this way. So I offered it to Dave last year when he was absolutely brand new, and he said, give me a year. So this year, I think we're on for it. It is October 1st start. So that's a federal fiscal year start. And I think Dave was gonna also connect with his jurisdictional committee. So that's kind of in the works. If anybody wants more information about any of that, please let me know. And then the last item is STEP, Solutions to End Homelessness program. It's due next week, so I'm in a real rush job here. It is New York State Office of Temporary and Disability Assistance. It's a 5-year grant as long as you have good performance. OCO has gotten $300,000 for the last 8 years. I absolutely don't want to undermine anything OCO is doing in the homelessness piece. However, because of, you remember that huge increase we had from 17 to 18, our HMIS data, Homeless Management Information Systems, big federal thing in the sky. So that shows us we have real high need and unmet needs, and I think 5 programs are funded in Onondaga County. So we're gonna step out there. We could not find, at this late date, I just learned last week that we could have a second program here. So DSS is stepping up to the plate. We are just going to kind of mirror what we did with the caseworker we hired with mental hygiene funding. We're gonna mirror that in our proposal for this funding. There's no local share. With that said, for 8 years, the state has matched that federal money, emergency shelters grants money, 1-to-1 match. But there is a caveat in the RFP that says if the state can't match it and you want to continue this, you'd have to match it. Well, at that point, I think we need to kind of take a look at the effectiveness of the program and possibly back out of it. But they continued to fund it for 8 years, so I think it's worth it. If we lose the grant, I'll lose the caseworker position. That I promise. I'm not, this would be no local share. And we would have rapid rehousing money. So my hope is that rapid rehousing money is gonna pull back a little bit of that local share money that we have been spending in emergency housing and motel rooms. And rapid rehousing can be used for a lot of things. Utility arrears, subsidizing the rent. So I'm a guy, I just got out of jail, I'm homeless, I have no supports, on public assistance, he gets about $190 a month for rent. He can't find anything for $190 a month for rent. So we give him a couple of $100 more. We say 3 to 6 months, this can be up to a year, but typically 3 to 6 months we look at, get on his feet, and start gradually shifting that financial responsibility back to him. So there's a quick scenario on how that can work. So I've not, the award ceiling is $200,000. In talking to some of my contacts at OTDA, it's probably not reasonable for Oswego County to get $200,000-$300,000 awards. So ours is gonna come in under $150,000. So, and I just kind of made those decisions this morning with my team, so you can have this. I did do this. Any questions on staff? We are working with OCO on this. We've been meeting with them.
$190 a month for rent, less than $7 a day. Where is anybody going for that?
We've got clients that with disabilities that are under $300 a month income for everything for the month.
You probably pass some of those structures on the roads and don't think anyone lived there.
Right.
It's those kind of places. It's not good. Yeah, housing is really tough. Tonight I'm going to the City of Oswego's Planning Board to advocate for DePaul's new project, Lock 7 apartments. So I'll also go to the zoning board. So wherever I can infuse a little influence on getting some of these projects up and going. And you see OCO's project is just going like crazy over there. It's built, really going up fast. We're really excited. So we are seeing some progress with safe, affordable housing, but we've got a long ways to go.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Over to you, Jamie.
Good afternoon. May was a busy month for the Veterans Agency. We had Memorial Day. So I want to thank legislators Krasik and Papaya, and legislator Castiglia, who's not here, but, the three legislators came to the Fulton Memorial Day, ceremony, and both legislator Krasik and Papaya spoke. I did post those speeches on our Facebook pages. It was, the event was way more attended this year than the previous year. So I'd like to think that the use of social media probably helped that a lot this year. So it was the first year that we had the social media pages up for the agency. And that was how we spread the word for the event. And we probably had like 70% more people there this year than last year. The parade went well. It started to rain probably the last 10 minutes of the parade. So most of the parade was finished before the rain came in. Today, later this evening, we're going to go through the Veteran of the Year packages. So there were 8 nominees for County Veteran of the Year. So I'm excited to go through those with the advisory committee later this evening, and we'll get some results for that. And that's it for the Veterans Agency. Thank you.
Thank you.
And there's been a lot on the news of the 75th anniversary of D-Day, and it just, the incredible interviews. It must just thrill you to see so much national news surrounding our local true vets.
It's nice
Pretty
because
awesome.
there's not many left.
Yeah.
So it's humbling to see the interviews with the ones that are left. They have a lot more patriotism than some.
Well, to get much bigger, you're gonna need a lot more help from the Fulton Police Department.
I know.
That was almost on the edge of insane. They start at one cemetery, they go to another one, and then they go over to the War Memorial, and are escorted across 481 and 48, and that was a little crazy.
People don't know about procession traffic.
Yeah.
There were definitely almost a few instances of collision. So we are actually gonna work with OPT next year to see if we can park everybody at St. Mary's Cemetery and use 2 buses and just bus through the procession and then bus everybody back to their vehicles. So, yeah, so you don't have to worry about that.
I didn't, I stayed right near the squad cars.
Yeah, in regard to the World War II, the Library of Congress has an oral history project where you can see all the interviews online. And my grandfather is on there. It was placed on there like more than 10 years ago, and it took like 5 years of processing before it all made its way to the World Wide Web. But yeah, it is a valuable resource because it's a primary source right in front of you on your screen. Yes.
I'll have to check that out. Thank you.
Okay, Sarah, you're up.
Well, as in your party packets, we have our second annual senior picnic on June 26th. We did partner with the United Way. We solicited contributions to cover the cost of it, and we've covered it fully, so our seniors won't have to contribute any cost to the event itself. So we're very happy about that. And working with United Way, if there's any money, if we get additional contribution or donations in, we will have that received money for next year's event. So it won't be as stressful trying to find a place and food vendors and all of that. So we're very happy. If any of you can attend, that certainly would be welcome. It's from 10 to 2, as the flyer says, but there's a lot going on. Lunch will be at noon. So certainly please feel free to attend. And once I get all of our donors' information in, I'll share it with everyone so you know who contributed to the event, so you have that information. We're also the longest day celebration. I shared that at the last meeting, and I just wanted to remind everyone that is on Thursday, June 20th, and at the Oswego Farmers Market, and from 5 to 6 p.m.
be a walk around the bridges, there's no cost for it, it's really just a day to show love and support for those, whether it's a family member, a friend, anyone that you know that's affected with Alzheimer or dementia-related disease, because it's, even though it's not the actual longest day of the year, that's what it is supporting, because as we all know, if you don't know, Alzheimer, you're good during the day, but when it's the sun starts going down, the sundowners, and that's when they start having more issues. So the longest day is to be in support of them. Yes.
Can I ask you about
Yes.
the picnic? That's the one where they bus all of the people from, that want to come from the other locations up?
Well, I don't know if, I don't think the nutrition class, we did that last year, because it was part of nutrition services, it was a congregate meal. So they bused people in to the event. We're looking to see how much additional funds we have to be able to have some busing. I did reach out to Gary Mashaw at Oswego Transportation, and he said they have a lack of buses right now and bus drivers, so they don't know if they'd be able to accommodate us. I am trying to see what pricing we could get, if ever we could get to like Fulton, even though it's not that far from Oswego, because their transportation office is there. If they could get to like Cuba Community College, the parking lot there, and then they could bus them into Oswego. I haven't got the numbers back yet from him to see what that cost would be, but I originally had asked him about Central Square, Pulaski, and Fulton to be able to bus in, and he said he just did not have the drivers for the buses to be able to do it. The RFP for our registered dietitian went out a second time. Again, just one response at $75 per hour, which is over double what we pay right now. I'm gonna be working with Onondaga County to revise how it is going out. I just wanted to let you all know though, instead of asking for them what their hourly rate would be, I'm gonna take a page out of the health department's book, and they have a monthly amount that they pay them for the number of hours they need to provide. Right now, under our nutrition guidelines, we have to have 12 hours per week of registered dietitian services. That's split up between OCO and our individual contract with our RD. They're looking to bring those hours up at part of their new guidelines to 16 hours per week. We currently, because we knew this was on the horizon, we currently are providing, even though it's 12 is the minimum, it's been a combination of 14 hours between the two. So what I would like to do is to bring it up to that 8-hour amount, or 8.5 hours, because OCO does 7.5 actually. To put it out at that amount, using, because we haven't been able to get RD with the hours that we have, using some of our unmet need money to cover that cost, because if we can't get an RD, that is an unmet need. It is a requirement for our nutrition program to have those hours if we want to claim for the meals that are being provided. So with that, I'm going to be putting it out at $1,300 a month, which if it's at 7 hours a week, that's at $42.86 an hour if they do the minimum of 7 hours. If they do the 8.5 hours, that's $35.29. Anything over 35 hours, similar to how the health department has it with their RD, it would be at $35 an hour. So it's an additional cost from what we are currently paying, like annual cost for dietitian, the additional $2,860. So it's not a large sum of money, but it certainly will be an increase in that budget line if it does come back. If we do get some bites on it and it does come back, but it would be covered under the unmet need money that we have. But it would come back to you when that does come back to approve it. I just want to let you know kind of how I'm heading with that. Our current dietitian says that she'll continue on right now, so we won't be without that service. Mary Kay, she's the one who is retiring. She wanted to retire March 31st, but she is continuing on with us, and she said she'd continue to work with us. Hopefully we'll get something in place before the end of summer though. Is there any questions on that at all? I did a little chart, a little spreadsheet. I don't know if anybody wants to see it at all. I'll pass it around. We also, I provided Legislator Rehill with a letter from our advisory, the Office for the Aging Advisory Council. At our last meeting, I mentioned to them that behavioral services will be moving out of our Bunner Street building at some point, because it's been a topic of discussion for a while. And as part of that discussion, I had mentioned that I had brought it before, that I would really like to have the Office for the Aging have additional space, not for our office and our function, but for senior center space. So Paula Roan, the chairman of our council, has sent a letter to this committee, to Legislator Rehill, and also to Legislator Walpole, Infrastructure Committee, requesting that space. And I know that there's already been a lot of talk. I had spoke to this committee as well as John Booker about our wish for that. Oswego is a population center. It has a high population of seniors. It is the only, with the population of seniors, there's not a congregate meal site here. There used to be one at Pontiac Apartments that ended up closing. They had temporary one in OCO's Midtown Plaza location, and the OCO has not been able to secure a location that meets all the needs that they have. So when this, I know that a space is gonna be, there's gonna be some space available. It's right on public transportation, it is accessible, it's right next door to our offices. I know there'd be an additional cost through nutrition services because it's opening another congregate site. They would need a site manager, but with the county owning the structure, hopefully that when we could possibly provide it to them at no cost, so they could bring their costs down so that we could get another dining and activity center back here. And then on the days that they're not open, because it previously were open 3 days a week, maybe those other days we could have other entities, maybe senior clubs, or we could have the evidence-based programming, the 6 steps to better balance, or stepping on class, or diabetes self-management, or whatever we would like to bring in for programming for seniors. I just wanted to put it out there that we would like some of that space, and I hope you would support us. If there is space available, you would support us in moving forward with that.
Okay. There's no specific projections for when that space is gonna be available anyways, yeah, right now.
Still about a year out.
In the meantime, have you been looking for any other place, in the meantime?
We have not. We have put that to OCO for them to look, and they're continually looking for space. I don't know if they're as actively looking for it because of, it would be an additional cost for them. So their contract also is due in 2020. So I'm looking at rewording the contract a little bit differently, because right now it's like it's a per meal contract, but it's not really just per meal. With that contract, they provide nutrition counseling, nutrition education, the transportation for the meal delivery, the other evidence-based programming, so soliciting and having the eye doctor come in to adjust and tighten the eyeglasses. So there's a lot that's part of the contract that they're also doing. So it's not just a meal, but we have to break out the contract and find out, okay, what does it cost you for a congregate meal as opposed to a home delivered meal? what is the cost for your nutrition education to devise or to develop the monthly flyer that goes out to all the participants. So and as part of that, okay, what is the congregate site to operate, so to actively seek to have this site as well? And what would it cost if you were to open another site, another congregate site? So it's always been part of it, because as they closed the one here in Oswego, it was supposed to be temporary until they found another location. But it kind of just got, their contract was never revised, so that the cost of that site was just blended right in with the rest of the program. Also, we had one in Sandy Creek, Lacona, that one closed as well, so there's no site up there either, and they also have a hard time finding a location.
So they're getting the same amount though with two different sites closed?
Right, because it's a per meal cost they get, and they're providing the number of meals. And it's, even though it's a per meal cost, it's a guaranteed number. We put it out that it's going to be 246,900 meals, I believe, is what they're contracted to provide us. And we pay them for that number of meals. If it's fewer than that number of meals, we still pay them for the 246,900 meals.
Margaret?
Thank you, sir. When it closed in Sandy Creek, Lacona, I thought they moved to Pulaski.
No,
Did they close down there too?
it originally was in Pulaski at the Ringgold Fire Department. They moved to Sandy Creek, Pulaski. They did not open anything. They did not move back to Pulaski.
Okay.
What we did is we provided transportation, because the Lacona Soup Kitchen is there and available. We provide transportation 1 day a week to the soup kitchen. It used to be open 5 days a week. It's only open 3 days a week now. But that was an alternative, because there was an option for them to go to. But I do know that they did look around that area at other locations, and with water and accessibility and other issues, they were not able to find a successful location in the Pulaski Sandy Creek area.
So the soup kitchen is not there either then?
The soup
It's still there.
It's still there, but it's open 3 days a week as opposed to the 5 days.
And I think they're busy, I believe. At least when I drive by, it looks like there's cars there.
Right, and that's open to anyone.
Yes, it
It's
is.
not just seniors.
Yes, correct.
So you have a director for each site, right?
There's a site manager, yes.
Site manager. So then you also are down 2 site managers as well in budget from losing those 2 over the years. Interesting.
With the, for an Oswego site, with the consolidation of Catholic churches in the area, maybe they want to take a look at one of the churches or contact the diocese, see if they'd be interested in, then it could be they could contract with them. These are churches that have halls with tables and chairs and kitchens already in them.
Yeah.
They could contract rather than hiring a person or.
Well, then that's where Central Square is in the Catholic Church in Central Square now, after moving twice this year.
If we ever get that CFA house, that was kind of one of the things I proposed, that seniors could use house during the off season as well.
Yeah, but then you gotta swap out and move for the rest of the year.
Yes, that's what happened at Camp Vander Camp. That was one of the hiccups there, because they had to move out of the site for 6 weeks each year, so they're in a temporary location.
That's it, that's it.
When these sites close, does the Meals on Wheels people increase so that these people really are not missing any meals?
Correct. We evaluate them for their eligibility for home delivered meals, and that's what we had picked up people because of that. There was no other place, and we were going there for someone to prepare the meal for them, or they couldn't afford to purchase the food.
Because I know when they went to these places, because they used to be in the town hall when I was there, they loved to come because they talked with other people.
Right.
Had a piano there, they played, they sang, and play cards.
Anybody that's eligible, we would much prefer they go to a congregate site because it's not just a meal, it's the socialization and it's the education that they receive as well. And
Full City Hall.
Yeah, big time.
Fulton is the only one that's open 5 days a week.
Yeah, and that's at City Hall.
Oh, it's a big time. Yeah, they played cards, put puzzles together, chatted about the grandkids. I was there. I was very, yeah. It was a big deal for them to come.
That's good. Good service. Okay, are you, anything else?
Yes, I just wanted to let you know, we're in the process of getting our 4-year survey together. We'll be presenting that at our senior picnic with the needs assessment survey. And it doesn't have to be just completed by seniors, it's for senior programs, but everyone knows a senior, you have a mom or a dad or someone, so we'll be sharing that with you all to complete as an incentive for our participants at the picnic. Their name will be put in a hat when they hand back the survey, their name will be put in a hat for a door prize. So prizes are always are incentives for people. Also, our New York Connects grants, I'm sending it, actually I sent it out today. It's March 2019 through, April 2019 through March 31, 2020. They actually allocated us another $10,000. So we're happy about that. So must be doing something really good here in Oswego County with our New York Connects program, and connecting people to services and getting those units of service in, because that's what they base the funding on. Our farmer market coupon program, in case anybody asked you about it, we have not heard anything yet. Last year we received 840 coupon booklets, $20 value per booklet. We're hoping that we will receive the same amount again this year to distribute. But again, we haven't received the program instruction on it, the number of booklets that we'll receive, any of the supporting information that goes with it. Once the farmer markets start opening up, that's when you start getting those questions of when the booklets will be available. So we don't have any information as of yet. We're told program instruction will be coming out in the middle of June. So at the next meeting, I'll let you know what we received and how we're progressing with that. That's all I have.
Okay, any questions for Sarah? All right, I will look for the appropriate motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
When, next year,
21.
20. In the middle of something. I have to be here, but I'd like to be able to.
No, you're fine.
We have the committee, then you